Whenever you're done sexting.
Dude, just sext away. I've got some sext game. You know it. You really do know it, actually.
I do.
Yeah, dude. Fucking.
I wish I still had the proof.
Yeah, dude. You fucking flick that bing.
Whoa.
Bean.
What'd
What?
you say? Bing?
Yeah. Chandler.
When I got a new phone, all my,
Allegedly.
all my,
You probably still have a secret folder of stuff.
No, I really don't. And honestly, that shit could be just out there in the universe and other people are just looking at it.
What? What do you mean?
So there was an app.
Why do I sound... Whatever. There's an app?
You don't sound weird. Do you think you sound weird?
No, you put that stuff in an app?
There was an app called Calculator Plus.
Oh my god.
That was disguised as a calculator. But I would put in a code and it would open up a secret folder of pictures.
That's so shady of you.
Well, I mean, this was back in my shady days.
Yeah, I was under some kind of understanding.
What did you think? I just had him
mutual. I don't know.
So yeah, when I got a new phone, that app didn't transfer, and then I re-downloaded it, and I was like, foolishly hoping, like, let me just put in my code, and it's still all gonna be there.
Didn't you get this new phone with me?
No. I mean, obviously we were talking, but it was before. It was before, like, we moved in together.
Yeah.
So.
Well then, if we're using the bar of us moving in together as the bar of secrets being kept, then I shouldn't have gotten in trouble for anything.
Wait, what?
Yes.
Oh, wait.
No, sorry. No, I'm listening.
No, you're fine.
Here, no, I'll just put it down. It's just fantasy football talk. It's not even important fantasy football talk at this point.
Is any of it ever?
All right, fucking, you can be that way. It's fine.
Wait, is football coming up that soon?
Yep. August is generally the month. Preseason will start, and then the first week of second week of September, probably. September 9th, 10th, something like that is probably when the season will start.
I was thinking I'm gonna
got 500 bones between 3 leagues.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
What?
That's about to be really sweet, but cool.
No, I didn't win $500. I'm
No, I know what you meant.
Investing $500.
So I'm gonna lightly bring this up. This thing that happened to you the other day.
Oh well, yeah. I figured.
Just lightly.
You can bring it up fully. You bring it up all the way.
So
because
one of the things
if you weren't first off, what I was gonna say. No.
Started off nicely.
First off, what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Is that if you didn't.
You were going to.
Well, yes, but you should also This is if you had done this, I would make fun of you for it, and I'd be like,
oh,
I would.
I wasn't gonna
tease
that much fun.
I would tease for a while because that's just me, and I was like, man, if she she should absolutely be like,
well, I'm gonna spin it.
I'm ready to sink my teeth.
I'm gonna spin it nicely.
Well, you're gonna spin it because you're like, you're so cute, and obviously, I am.
One
cute.
of the reasons I love you so much is because you don't get caught up in social media, and you deleted your Facebook.
Yeah.
For various reasons. I mean, you told me a couple of them, but I just like that.
There were various reasons. There was literally one thing. Well, there were maybe various reasons. There was one thing that stuck out to me on Facebook specifically.
Yeah.
And there was a guy that I followed on Facebook, and I followed him on he had a YouTube. He was the guy that got me in the board games. Remember there was that show that I would watch on YouTube where he would play board games with guests.
Yeah, I think so.
Like adult board games.
Yeah.
He was on Star Trek. I've followed this dude for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And in the peak of this wokeness, he took jabs at Joe Rogan, and it was.
Oh, that pushed you over?
Well, that's not what pushed me over, but when I saw that, I was like, oh, he clearly doesn't know anything about Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
And all of the comments, it was crazy too, because he was responding to people's comments of people being not even rude. It was comments of people being like, hey man, you should really check out more of Joe Rogan's content and not just. I think it was when it was going along when he got in trouble because he said the N word, and it turns out that he was just verbatim telling a joke like 15 years, like it was like not 15, but like the very beginning of his podcast. He was like verbatim telling a joke that someone else had told, and so he used the word, be like using it as if it were a lyric in a song. That's how he used it.
Yeah.
And this dude was like, I've had enough in this woke world. And all the comments were like, hey man, you should really, like, you're picking a fight with somebody that will like, squash you. Like this dude has tens of millions of like follow. Like this dude will, and he was responding like if you don't fucking like my opinion, then you stop following me. And I was just like, man, yeah. And I was like, man, this is crazy.
That you kind of wasted his time with that, or like spent energy on that.
I think he just got tricked by the wokeness, man.
Yeah.
And I don't want to just put it on wokeness. I think movements like this happen quite often throughout history. And people just get caught up into it because they don't know any better.
Yeah.
But he got caught up in the woke mob and thought that like the gain that he could get from being like, you know, what do they call it? Virtue signaling, I think. Being like, look at me. It's when like you go out of your way basically to be like, I've got a gay friend and they're awesome. It's like, oh, all right, cool. Not applicable here at all, but that's fine. And like he did something like he figured he would get more fault, and it was like, dude, you went after the fucking goat. What did you think was gonna happen? And honestly, I haven't heard I think this dude literally ended his career. I haven't heard a single thing from this guy.
Really?
Since. No. But that was one of the things. And like Facebook was getting like the things that were starting to get into my Facebook algorithm were way too left for even my liking. And I guess after a couple of these episodes, people are probably going to think that I'm a radical righty. Not the case whatsoever. But it was getting so far left to a point where I was like, yeah, I don't want to be a part of this anymore.
Yeah. But anyways, let me finish my praising and my
tangent.
I
don't know what that was.
I like that you don't get caught up in it and couldn't care less, you know, like what people are commenting on. And
I've never bothered to really figure out how to use it because I had a flip phone for so long.
And I love that about you.
Yeah, I had a flip phone for a very long time. Like
because it tells me that
when we were initially doing the old
other things,
sexties, it was with a flip phone. It was tough. Although, dude,
was it a flip or a slide? I thought it was
slide. But I mean, same idea.
Is that the one that like got
it was so
thrown
easy.
at you?
Oh, prior, prior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
wish I would have seen those pics. By the way, I swear that I was like half in and half out of sleep when that argument started. When the phone got thrown at me, because I literally had a dream of like nudes.
Really?
And then I woke up to a phone getting thrown at me, and I was like, man, I think I missed out. Should have just put my phone on silent. Probably would have never been an issue.
That's kind of relevant. That's kind of relevant. But
I'm a terrible person.
So no, you're not.
You're right. I'm not. I'm fucking awesome. Thanks, babe. You've convinced me.
So it took a lot of arm twisting.
Yeah.
So you still have an Instagram, which listeners should know. Like I tag us usually when I post stuff.
Yeah. Don't follow me. I won't follow you back. I literally follow like 50. There's like a handful of things that I do follow.
And people.
And yeah. Some of them are people.
He was being a good co-creator, co-host, whatever.
I was like, I haven't
trying to share our content.
Promoted a single episode yet.
Yeah. So he was trying to share our content and spread it around like his group of Instagram followers.
Especially like, because I knew like James for sure hasn't seen or heard that I'm doing a podcast.
Really?
There's no way.
I thought that James and I were following
maybe,
each other.
but I would imagine he wouldn't.
He's probably not on it often.
Well, and he probably doesn't pay attention to anything you send.
Yeah.
Or like put out there.
I don't. Oh, okay. Yeah,
what I mean. Like if he sees it, he probably just instantly scrolls past it.
Right.
And like my friend, that's in college in Baltimore. Like there were a couple people that I'm sure have no idea. Yeah. And so I was like, let me just like reach, like, let me share. I'm gonna
Yeah,
share
he
on
was trying to be
Instagram.
a great team player.
Man,
But anyways,
that didn't work.
he, I guess, like, not intentionally direct messaged
Yeah.
the video.
First off, give me a warning. There's nothing when I look. You have put the episode up, right? And I'm like, okay. I hit the share button. I'm thinking the second that I go through that list and go send, that it's like share. It's allowing
At the very
me.
top of that list is to post to your story, and that's an
Yeah,
indirect
and
sharing.
I've done that before, and I feel like I've never gotten any level of like confirmation that it's gone out to anybody. So I was like, you know what? I'm making sure it's going out to people. Hit and send
Okay,
all
so
the way down the line.
it was kind of intentional then. So anyway,
I mean,
he
it wasn't
did it.
intentional in the fact that I didn't think I was sliding into people's DMs
You were
with.
sliding our episode in there.
Yeah, dude.
But anyways,
And
he did that, and some of the people in
got
that
3 comments,
collective group
3 responses. One of them was
were
from my buddy.
not so pleased.
One of them was my buddy in college, who I haven't seen face to face in a while, but I hope to soon. Like somewhat soon. But he was like, "Oh, cool. I'll give this a listen."
Nice.
And I was like, "Okay." He must have seen the share and is responding to the share. Cool. I didn't even think when I first saw that, because that was the first one I saw. Now, like in my head,
Yeah.
think about it, it's the first one I saw. Didn't even register in my brain that was a direct message to me.
Yeah, you were in
I was like, sweet.
private conversation.
Less than 8 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally did it in bed. I was like, you know what, I'm doing this. Did it in bed.
Yeah.
Woke up to that. And I was like, all right, cool.
It's not all you woke up to.
Yeah, dude. The ex-ladies, not thrilled.
Yeah, so there were a couple of them.
One of them, again, wasn't necessarily not thrilled.
Okay, can I tell this from my perspective, like the beginning part of it?
Okay.
So he, the first part he tells me about this is he shows me the message from one of these ladies.
Yeah, she was heated. I guess I'm sure that if I went back and watched the episode, I must have said something worse.
Well, if it was episode 4,
yeah.
I don't even think we talked about exes in that episode.
No, but we definitely talked about
we talked about cats being.
Yeah. But I'm sure in that part
She was
of
upset about the cat. Anyways, let me.
Allegedly,
finish.
I said something.
So he showed me.
Inappropriate. I don't know.
So he unknowingly included these women, in.
Yeah, don't say girls, dude. That makes it weird.
Included his exes in this mass send out of the video link.
Wow.
And so he showed me one of them, their initial response to that. But all I saw was the response. And I'm thinking in my head, like, she found this on her own and she just decided to DM him and tell him, like, nah, this is boring or whatever. So that's what I thought. So
that was my initial thought, by the way. My initial thought was she was just deciding to be like, meh, boring. And I was like,
right, just throw some hate out
now,
there. Yeah.
I'm gonna take a step forward and go,
no.
Damn, dude.
Keep it how you
right,
responded great to it.
I was like, I'm gonna take the high road because
he did. He took the high road.
Again, I am thinking that she's gone out of her way. And my first thought is like, I must have.
That's what I thought.
I must have said something that I initially that I just didn't it just came out in conversation with you. Because I'm having this conversation with you. I'm like, we're on camera, but I'm not having this conversation with anybody else.
Right.
And so I was like, man, I must have said something. So I was instantly like, oh, like, I'm sorry to hear that, but like, thanks for checking it out.
Right.
That's how I responded.
Right.
And figured it would end there. And then, man, she tried to come for blood. And I don't think, I don't know, maybe I could be a little softer. Again, I really want to just start throwing B's and F's out at this person, but yeah, she came for blood and was like, insults. What was it? It was like, insults are the last resort to. It was like the last resort for somebody who's trying to appear like confident or something like that.
For someone who's super
and
insecure
my
or whatever.
first thought, and this might sound a little, I'm not trying to be mean. My first thought was like, she Googled this. There's no way that she came up with that phrase on her own.
Oh, that.
That's like, if I feel like if I Google that phrase, it's
probably somewhere.
quick to find. Anyhow, I was like, wow, like, okay. And then I'm really like, okay, I've definitely said something rude that I shouldn't have.
And we were both trying to think back, like,
yeah,
no, we didn't get really specific. We just said
didn't say names. Didn't really.
No.
And I really feel like I didn't say anything bad. But I was like, you know what? I'm willing to believe that I might have. And so same thing, high road. Although again, while my thoughts are very much like
I know,
rooted in like, dude, we could go like, you want to come for blood? Like you want to come for the king?
Oh God.
Fucking, we'll come, dude. We'll come. Not like that.
No, you won't.
We'll come ready to play. Is what I mean. But no, I wanted to go high road again, and I was just like, look. It wasn't my intention.
Yeah.
Like if I said something that was like rude, I'm sorry. That wasn't my intention.
Right.
No response back.
Which is fine.
I don't know if I got blocked. I haven't even attempted that.
But
no response back. And I was just like, well, whatever.
I do like the way that you responded. But anyways, he
I
shows me this back.
I bet you we'll get a listen.
He shows me this back and forth, and it's maybe like half hour to an hour later, like we're in the car, and that's when he decides to tell me, yeah, I like sent the video to all these people.
Yeah, it didn't seem pertinent to tell you that.
And I was like, babe, like
I just figured this is what you do.
reached out first, basically. Like here, I'm thinking that she went out of her way, like you said, to just throw some hate. Like I don't like this.
She still went out of her way to throw some hate.
A little bit.
I mean,
but you kind of, and this is what I said in the car, you kind of forced it down her throat. Like,
yeah, she could have not listened at all.
You sent the video,
like, no,
which has a thumbnail of you and I.
Yeah.
This is who he was with before me.
Should have been tagged with, look at how happy I am now.
So I'm like, I kind of get where she's coming from. Like, you put this in her face. Like,
see,
but so that's what I'm like, okay, you didn't really understand.
Maybe this is, again, me being a bit.
That you were starting personal conversations with each individual person.
If it was reversed, I would just silently, like, I don't think I would respond in any way, shape, or form.
Exactly.
I would just in the back silently
and
be
that was going to be my next point. That was going to be my next point. Like, she didn't have to say anything. Like,
yeah. If you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. Jeez.
We're back in elementary school, guys.
Yeah. No, but yeah, that happened, and
and then there was another one that I don't know. You didn't really tell me what she said.
She didn't say anything. She literally just said,
like, don't send me something if it's not about me or something.
Yeah,
like
which
that?
I really couldn't tell if that was supposed to, like, because it's a message on Instagram.
Yeah.
Couldn't tell if that was meant to be any certain way, if it was meant to be like jokey, or flirty, or if it was meant to be bitchy.
Right.
I feel like it could have been all of those things.
But again, an ex-sexual partner.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
That was kind of in the mess and the tangle of us, like when we first started.
Oh, yeah, dude,
was mixed up and everything.
To borrow
sore
a line
spot
from Jada Pinkett, dude, like we were all entangled, right? An entanglement. That's what you called it.
Oh gosh.
We were in an entanglement. She was the last one I was entangled with before you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But so who knows? I did respond to that one though, and I was just like, oh, okay. That's all I said. It's like I'm not gonna take this any certain way. I'm just gonna be like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and
if I had to guess, I'm not gonna sit here and say that. You know, I'm gonna say.
Yeah, you are, because now I'm curious.
Like Mr. fucking awesome, Mr. Big Shot, Mr.
Oh no.
Everyone wants to be.
We need to stay humbled.
If I had to guess, there's a level of like, man, I could be with that. I could be with that guy.
There should be a level of that because.
Fucking right, there should be. There should be a fucking lot of that. Should be a whole lot.
All right, let's calm down.
Let's not. Let's keep going.
I was gonna say something else, but you
But
you basically started all these conversations with people,
no, that's my fault.
So
it's definitely my fault. I don't know how Instagram works, and if you.
But I love that about you.
If you happen to be watching this, I am sorry. I definitely didn't mean to say anything mean. It's 100% not my intention at all.
Yeah.
But I am being honest. Like,
yeah.
in the goal of being a better person, I am being honest, and sometimes I'm not supposed to say all of the truth, like I've said before. But when I'm talking with you, it's hard. It's hard not to just be like
Yeah.
honest about everything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
while not intended at all in any way, shape, or form to be like mean, that's the last thing I want to do is like be rude or
Right.
mean or insulting, and hurtful to somebody.
Right. And not everyone thinks that way,
True. That's very true.
obviously, because
You're entitled to your own thoughts too. You're entitled to be like, I'm sorry, I understand. And like I said, when you like framed it that way, I was like, ooh,
what that you like
yeah, I definitely did like
threw it in their
message. I
face.
definitely direct message to these people with like, hey, here's a podcast with my fiance. You're exes of mine. It's weird. It's a weird choice. So my bad, guys. If you're listening, probably not. But if you are, lo siento.
Yeah. So I thought that was cute that you were just trying to put it out there. I mean, I can
Never
give you
again. Live and learn.
I can give you lessons on sharing.
Yeah, no, you're the promoter now. I won't promote you anymore.
Because
I'll
that's
give you
only,
access to. You can have access to my Instagram, my Grum.
I mean, how many people follow you? Do you know?
Like 114, maybe.
Oh. Okay.
Wait. Follow me?
Follow you. Like, how many people would see it if you put it on your story? How many possible people?
I don't know, but the second I pick
Maybe
up my
we need
phone,
to
I'm like, oh, dude, I could respond to these fantasy football.
But you won't.
You're right, I won't.
Maybe we should amp up your following you.
182.
Okay.
Yeah, I could probably bump that up to 200. Here, I'll put my old chef on there.
I like it. Setting goals.
I'm not accepting my mom because I'm pretty sure she's hacked.
Right. I think she got hacked. Yeah. So what I was about to tell you while I was making my toast, which I didn't burn this time.
Yeah.
Twice. So earlier, oh my gosh. So you know how like, I don't know if you, tell me if you feel this way too, because as a mom, it's a little different. Like the connection and emotion, I guess, involved. Versus like being like the role of dad. But anyways, when Colton goes through some emotions, sometimes like something's really upsetting him or he's hurt, like physically hurt or whatever, and like crying, my heart breaks a little bit. Like it's just really sad for me. I wanna help him through it, and like it's new feeling for him, and I just wanna like, I don't know, it breaks my heart. Well, today he broke my heart again. So, you know how sometimes he lays on the ottoman with his butt in the air watching TV?
Mm-hmm.
Like he'll just be laying there.
Yeah.
Well, he was doing that, and he was playing with that little red truck that has buttons on the top, it like the lights and music and stuff like that.
Gets him to dance.
Yeah, well, he was laying with his butt in the air watching TV, and he must have been playing with the wheels. And I was in here making dinner, and I heard him like whine a couple times. And then I waited to see if he was just like being whiny for no reason.
Didn't walk the 3 feet to just poke your head up.
And then he whined again. And I was like, what's the matter, baby? Like, do you need help with something? And then I walked around the corner and I go over and look at what he's doing. And he has like a tear coming down. And his finger stuck between the wheel and the wheel well, like under that red car. And his finger stuck. And all he does is just say, car. I almost cried myself. I was like, did the car pinch your finger? So I picked him up, and like when I got his finger out, he started crying more than what he was when it was stuck.
Yeah.
But I was like, and then I picked him up, and he said car again, and I was like, yeah, did the car hurt your finger? And then he looked around and he was like, bubble wubble, like he saw the
Jeez.
And my heart broke like 5 times in a minute.
Did you give him bubbles?
No, I was getting dinner ready. He was fine.
I didn't even give him bubbles.
I came in here and I gave him some milk, and like I was giving him cuddles, which is better than bubbles.
Okay.
But yeah, it was so cute. It was cute and sad at the same time. It was a mix of emotions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did you see my post earlier? Did you see me?
Yeah, you yeah.
I was brave today.
You were.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask like what
I just wanted to create like some kind of like call to action, because I keep putting clips out there and videos and but nothing really direct, like straight at the people, you know.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I don't care who it is. I just want people to ask.
Well,
questions.
we got a submission.
What?
Via.
It could have only been one of like 5 people.
Oh, stop it. We have more than 5
I'm just saying, the 5 people.
Optimistic over here.
The 5. Okay. Am I wrong? if given 5 guesses.
No, you'd probably be right.
All right.
But anyway, we have a submission. It was
4-letter female.
No.
No.
It was via Instagram Messenger.
Ooh.
DM.
One of my exes.
Yeah.
Nice.
No.
Oh,
So
is this a...
she has a couple questions / topics.
Okay.
So one of them is just which we kind of touch on like every episode a little bit.
Ghost.
No.
Aliens.
You wish.
I do wish, dude. I would love for this
no.
podcast to be paranormal only.
Like
It's my end game.
Being new parents. She said being new parents and how there's so many different ways to raise a child. Do you think there's something that parents shouldn't teach their kids, or is there something that your parents taught you that you don't agree with now? And I was thinking about it a little while after she sent it, and like, to start, there's really there's not a answer for, that you raise your kid how you want to raise them and how you think is going to set them up for success the best.
See, I don't even know if that's fully right though.
But the morals and values that you want them to have.
Yeah.
Of course there's rules in society. Like you can't teach them to okay, go rob banks. Like this is what we do as a family. But it is like case by case for a lot of it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the blanket ideas treat others the way you want to be treated, and
there's a better version of that.
Have manners.
There's a better version of that, by the way.
Okay, well, let me hear your input.
And it's shocker from a man, JP.
Oh, shocker.
And it's something along the lines of like treat people the way you would want them to treat your mother or something like that.
Oh, interesting.
Because his argument is there's people out there
what if you don't
treat
have a
others
good
the way you want
relationship with your mom? Like, what if you and your mom don't get along and you don't treat her well?
Okay, I mean,
you wouldn't be a
I
good
mean,
mom
I think
yourself?
no matter how you phrase it, I think there's always going to be a little loophole. But it's something along those lines. They're like, it's like treat others the way that in a perfect world you would want them to treat someone. It's I don't know, but it's better than because there are people out there that don't think they should be treated well. And so treat others the way you want to be treated is would be very easy to be fall short.
Okay.
But it's like treat others the way you would want them to treat another kind of deal. Like it is maximally ideal for all parties involved if you treated someone else better. Of course I want you to treat me better, but I should want you to treat someone else better.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sort of.
But something that also popped into my head, and this is just going to basically be for moms, because it's something that I went through and
check out, take the headphones off and walk away for a
No,
couple
because I
minutes?
want to hear your dad stuff after.
Okay.
But there's a lot of as a new parent, as a new mom, there's a lot of worrying that you're doing things wrong. Because there's a gazillion books on parenting and newborns and
turns out you don't need any of those.
Right. Well, there's stuff that's scientific that can help, I'm sure, like sleep patterns and
but even that, I mean, we didn't do anything like that.
Child development. All kids are different, obviously, but there's got to be a general this is normally how kids develop and what you can expect at different ages. That stuff helps, but as a mom, I found myself worrying a lot that I was doing something wrong. I used to hold Colton for almost all of his naps, and that made me worried. Is he not going to sleep if I'm not holding him? And he's great now. So
I could have guessed that about you, though.
That I would hold him?
No.
That I would worry.
Would worry that you're doing. I mean.
Yeah. So I worried about that. Just there's a gazillion things to worry about, and that's one thing that you might not be able to help it, but you should try not to dwell on it because you're doing what's best for your child. And so that was one big thing that I thought of. And then another thing was that your body changes a crap ton, and you have to just give yourself time and be patient with yourself. And I struggled with feeling like I'm a mom now, like I can't think about those things, or I'm a mom now, I can't indulge in something that I like to do anymore, like it's all about the kid. I can't watch this show, like it's not
Yeah.
stuff like that. So you have to try not to lose yourself as well. And I think that once Colton got closer to a year and then past a year, like I got better at coming back around, like working out again and like trying to get my body back, because that really helped me mentally too. But understanding that like you don't have to give up stuff that you love just because you're a mom now, like
Yeah.
rap music, like, oh, I
Well,
can't like that anymore. Like I have a kid,
yeah. Well, it
you
kind
can
of
like what you like and still
goes
be a good
to
mom.
that idea a little bit. I think I don't remember where I heard it from, but it was like some really good advice that I had heard. I mean, it had to have been prior to you being pregnant or any of that. But it was that like you can't forget, and in some cases, like the relationship, or maybe it's optimal that in some cases the relationship between mother and father have to, in some ways, supersede
Right.
the relationship with the child. Like you can't. It's optimal for the child to, because I know relationships can get rocky when like a child gets involved.
Yeah, of course.
And that in times, and especially where we are nowadays, it seems like relationships between the parents. I mean, in a lot of, I mean, in like half the cases now. I mean, probably even more now. I haven't looked at those numbers in a minute. But in like at least half the cases, almost don't even exist. The relationship between mother and father.
Right.
And that in I think in a lot of cases, and it makes a lot of sense. Like it's optimal for the child.
Yeah.
That the relationship between the mother and parent has to like supersede the child's needs at times, because it is so important for the child to have. I mean, there's no debate to be had that a child is inherently going to be better off with both mother and father in the household, as opposed to separate. I just think, well, it's not even that I think
agree.
it's
Because it's consistency. It's like a steady
well, you get
comfort, and they can trust, and like.
but you get to see.
Yeah, I know from that point of view too.
The child gets to see like, okay, like this is how a
Like a healthy,
mutual,
functioning.
even if healthy, like even in the times of trouble, like there's probably worthwhile things to see when there's a negotiation going on between like your needs and my needs, or my wants and your wants, and even just seeing like, okay, this is what dad does.
Yeah.
Like this is what I mean. There's, whether you have a boy or a girl, like there's going to be a schematic set forth for how that child is going to act in the world. And generally, if you have like a son, it's probably going to be primarily like the schematic built by the father, and vice versa for the girl.
I mean, yeah. But yeah, as far as like trying to still be like a individual and have your own, I don't want to say I put myself last every day, because if I did that, I'd probably be like super depressed.
Yeah.
Well, there's but also in most situations, I take care of what I need to take care of first, and then I do whatever for me. Like,
well, there's also like a lot of science behind the first, like, 9 months, like before he's able to walk. Like in that amount of time, you have to put yourself last.
Yeah.
You have to put everything last because of how vulnerable they are. Like, I mean, you don't have the option.
Yeah.
Because they rely on you. Everything is, reliant on, you know. I mean, mostly mom. You could say mom and dad, but
yeah.
I know.
But like in the first like year or whatever you said, 9 months to a year, you might feel like you're losing a little bit of your individuality, and I guess to an extent
Yeah.
you do.
Yeah.
But you don't have to become an entirely different person. Like,
No. Well, and I don't
you
know.
give things up, of course. I mean, sacrifices are made because
I think in some ways you do have to and do become an entirely different person, but I don't think it's a
yeah.
bad thing.
No, I agree.
Like, to me, there's no way
But if you're
around a
but if
child is
you're
going to irrevocably change.
if you're a different person
You.
and you're incredibly like unhappy with yourself, or like just something's off, and like,
Yeah.
I mean, you have to take care of yourself. You can't just say like, I'm a mom now, I guess my body's gone to shit, I guess I can't,
Yeah.
you have to still like fulfill your needs and make sure you're like doing what you need to do to be mentally there and like available. But yeah, those are just some things that came to mind when she sent those questions. But I was trying to think of something that like my parents.
Were there more than one?
Yeah. But we're
Oh.
not done this first one.
Oh, all right. Well, you made it
It's
seem like we
multiple
were, and then
parts.
you didn't let me answer. I didn't really say anything.
Oh, well, no, it's still the first question. But okay, so dad version. Do you think there's something parents shouldn't teach their kids? Was one of the things she said.
Shouldn't teach their kids. No.
Or just being a new dad in general. Like, she said how there's many different ways to raise a child.
Yeah.
Or something that your parents taught you that you don't agree with. I was trying to think of something like that, but I don't know that I can.
I think the whole thing has to just be like rigid fluidity.
Meaning?
Like, you have to create some kind of like more, like you said, like your morals and your values, create this kind of like rigid base, but it shouldn't be so rigid that like he's inevitably going to have his own values, his own morals that will be separate from ours.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't be like kind of shunned away from being different, especially because I have no idea, like, I don't know, where like my morals fall on like the grade of like, is this how people should act? I don't know. I feel like I'm doing an okay job, but I would hope he can do better. So I don't know. I can't be like just be a carbon copy of us.
No, I can't.
It's like, dude, you're gonna have to figure out your own way to some extent, and we're here.
Yeah.
We're here to make sure that you don't die for the first little bit of time.
Yeah. And I don't know, like, now that you bring that up, and I don't even know if it was like on my parents for the way that I was for so long, like afraid to mess up, like afraid to, because I always have looked up to them, and I do, but it was probably just me thinking like, oh, I need to be just like them, and I don't know. I don't know if it's even something that they taught me that now I don't entirely agree with, or if it was just in my own head. But
well, I just can't help but think like me growing up as a kid. Like, not. I think sometimes I make it sound maybe a little harsher. Like, nothing about me growing up was hard.
Yeah.
Like, but I don't. I'll never be able to know for sure what having like my parents being split up when I was at such a young age and having so little time, like I spent so much time with my mom compared to the amount of time that I spent with my dad. And I do think that had to have affected my ability to form relationships like growing up. Like, it had to have some kind of effect on it.
Probably.
And so, like, that would be like, I mean, that would be like one thing off the top of my head that I'd be like, if there was one thing I would want him to experience that I didn't really get a chance to experience, it would be like parents that are in love and are doing like this together.
Right.
Because there was so little time where my parents were together.
Right.
And I was so young by the time they'd split up,
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I always like wonder now, like what did that have? What kind of effect did that have?
Right.
And I think, again, at the end of the day, it's like I think it turned out fine. I think it all, like, I know, like, my mom will hear this and be like, and I'm like, relax.
What was that?
She'll
Crying?
cry, dude. She cries.
But like that? You sounded like a ghost.
But it's like, also, like, these are just things, just words and statements that are being made.
Yeah.
But it's like, where I'm at, like, it worked. Like, you did your job.
Yeah.
Like, I'm alive.
And I don't want to
I'm here.
I don't want to assume that we know.
Giving you a grandson.
I don't want to assume that we know and understand like everything that she went through.
Yeah.
But I feel like now that we're parents, we can like kind of relate, like we said on whatever episode that was. Just because you're an adult doesn't mean you have it all figured out.
Yeah.
We can kind of relate now. So like,
well, I've told you, I definitely want to ask now. Like, hey, I've joined the club, dude. I'm a parent.
yeah.
Like, you don't get to bullshit me anymore. Like, what happened? Like, what went down that...
Oh, you mean between your parents?
Yeah. Like, you can't just be like...
Yeah.
You can't just be like, oh, we fell out of love.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it happens.
Okay.
It does.
Then, let me get, like...
Either that happens or it was never love to begin with.
Let me get some specifics so that I know what to look for when I'm getting tired of this one over here.
Yeah.
Like... And I think that's more what I meant, too, when I told my mom, like, one of the last times she was here. And I was like, yo, you definitely should have told me when I was growing up that you don't know anything that's going on. That would have been a big help. I would have looked at things.
No, I think it probably would have terrified you.
I would have looked at things so differently.
Depends on how old you were when she...
Because, like, it's like the second that I figured, I was like, oh, all right, we're all just dummies out in this world trying to figure it out. Thanks.
It's what it is.
I guess.
Not her fault.
No, I'm not saying it is her fault. It's nobody's fucking fault. Just, I'm old enough now, and that now that we have a kid, like, hey, I'll be totally honest. Ask me anything.
Yeah.
I'll give you a 100% honesty.
Yeah.
Now that I'm a parent, you don't need to treat me like I'm the child, the baby. You can be completely honest.
I don't know if that would ever change. Though.
She doesn't get a choice anymore. Doesn't get a choice. I'm no longer the baby. He's
but you're
the baby.
always going to be one of her babies.
No, I substitute him. Substitute in him for me. Because I like, in some ways, I'm utterly fascinated by what must be going on in her head, what must have gone on in her head. Like, I'm not asking for the sake of expecting there to be a right answer. I'm legitimately like, I really want to know.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think she thinks, and it's probably because I don't formulate them ever, and because she's my mom. So I'm just really fucking around with her all the time now, because that's what I do as the young kid, as her young son. But, like, she probably thinks that I'm expecting her to have some, like, grand answer.
Right.
And I'm not at all. I just want to be like, let me in. Like, what is happening inside that head of yours? Because I should know. Because you're half of me comes from you.
Yeah.
And it's very easy for me, like, the last time that I saw my dad, and even going back in the past when I've seen my dad, like, it's easy for me to just get him and understand him because he is oddly similar, like, in the way he, like, talks about things, thinks about things. I'm like, oh, this makes sense. This is where part of me is coming from. Mm-hmm. Because it's like, oh yeah, dude, fucking talk about the bloodline for fucking 2 hours. That's cool. I can dig on that.
Yeah. Well, you should have a conversation with her.
Yeah, I know. Fucking should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about
I need her to hear.
Do you guys make a deal? Like, if
she needs to hear this.
If we go down to them, then you have to have the conversation.
Yeah.
Like, we'll come to where you are.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see.
But you've told me
I just need the
in
deets.
the past a bunch of times that you never before, like, saw yourself having kids.
Yeah, no, never.
So
I was really convinced it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
But I was also
So I'm gonna
I
put
was
this
also
out
an
there, and
alcoholic. I was also an addict. I was also
Yeah.
I was admittedly saying, like, when it ever came up, I was like, I am just too selfish. Like, I enjoy my time way more than I could imagine wanting to spend time with another person and a child.
Yeah, and I don't take this the wrong way, but I picked up on that like way early on that you were a selfish person.
I probably said it. Well, like in
I
that
could
scenario
just
specifically.
I could just see, like in your tendencies and your
I think I still am.
habits,
I've
and you are a little bit.
very much gotten better, but
You have.
I feel like I
But you
still
like
am
your you
pretty
time,
selfish. Yeah.
and you like your shows, and you like your games, and but that's one of the things I love about you is that you have those like interests, and you have stuff that you're like a big fan of. And but anyways, what I was gonna say was
you low key just called me selfish.
no, I pretty much said it flat out.
Yeah, well, felt pretty
You
fucking low key if
selfish
you ask me.
But stop, you keep throwing me off my train of thought. So you said that you never saw yourself having kids. Oh, and what I was gonna say is I'm gonna put this out there, and like, no shame, but we got pregnant like earlier than we wanted to. Like, we weren't trying yet. We had talked about trying like maybe a few months after it happened.
Earlier than I wanted. I imagine it was right in the wheelhouse for what you wanted.
Well,
you used your feminine wiles.
I'm gonna throw this out there as a selfish thing on my part. It was a little earlier than I had wanted originally because we were going on vacation in a few months, and I wanted to drink on vacation. But
no. But so go on. No shame. You were about to ask something.
No, that's what I was. No,
you said no shame to me.
Right, but sorry, I thought I heard Colt for a sec. I was saying no shame. Like, I'm not ashamed that we had Colt. Like, we conceived earlier than we expected to.
And I was thoroughly happy.
Because it was meant to be. Yeah, well, that was going to be my next question was, how did you really feel like the morning that I found out and I came crying in the bathroom? Like,
well, you didn't
tears
hide
of
it
joy,
very well.
obviously.
You knew that my first step when I wake up would have been going to the bathroom.
I honestly didn't expect you to get up and see
test
it.
Right there, and I was like, I can read. Like, this isn't hard to read. Any TV show in the world where it's like, do you bigger picture?
Yeah.
To be able to like, no, it's pretty straightforward on how to read it.
Yeah.
And I was like, well,
I came around the corner and he was like, "Is that positive?"
You're on the phone with. I think you were on the phone with your friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's a good one. I like her a lot.
Yeah.
I like them a lot. They're
amazing.
Yeah. But yeah, I was like, okay, well, this is happening. It's generally the best mindset to adopt when things.
Yeah, but I mean, were you?
Just be like, yeah.
Do you remember if you were like immediately panicked, or you were like, I gotta sort this out in my head first? Like,
no, I think.
Did it take time to set in, or you were just
I don't
like?
Think so. I think I was just like, all right.
Yeah.
I mean, it felt like it was on the horizon no matter what.
Because you knew that I always wanted to be a mommy.
Yeah, so it was like, all right, if it's 4 months earlier, 5 months, like if it's a little earlier than it would have been, whatever.
Yeah.
I've always said, I mean, I probably changed the idea now a little bit. And it's probably inapplicable. Like, it's not even, I don't even know if it's worth saying, but I'll say it now, just because I already started it. I've always said that I've in the past, I'll say, I've felt like I'm pro-choice.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I don't think I would ever, if the situation arised for me, I don't think I would ever, like, want to go about it.
Yeah. No, you have said that.
And I hate to like tangent off real quick, but
no, you don't. You love tangents.
I do. But my boy JP again, I heard like it's a very thought out and intelligent way to have brought. It's like he was doing some Q&A somewhere after some lecture.
Yeah.
And someone asked him a question about abortion. And he was like we're all going to agree that like in some way abortion is wrong.
Right.
Like, you wouldn't go out and suggest someone gets an abortion. Like, And if you wouldn't do that, then we're on some common ground of saying like there's a stickiness to the situation that doesn't make it should you murder your neighbor? No, you shouldn't murder. Like, you shouldn't murder people. Like, there's a grayness to it that isn't easily definable.
Yeah.
And I'd never really heard it. It's like an easy way to describe it, but I've never heard it described like that. And he admittedly even says, he's like, I don't know the answer, because there's too many questions that we won't know the answer to be able to have like a definitive answer on the subject. But like the idea of like you wouldn't suggest to your sister, go get pregnant and go have an abortion.
Right.
It wouldn't be something you'd suggest to them. Like, so there's an inherent, like, I don't want to use the word wrongness because, like, who the hell am I to like throw that out there? Like, but there's an inherent, like,
I understand what you mean.
Yeah, like, there's an inherent, like, gray area to it where it's like, it probably isn't a good thing.
Right. For many reasons.
And it's possible in some scenarios it's a necessary thing. But
right.
Like, war at times is necessary. No one would ever say that war is good.
Yeah.
So, tangent ended. But I gotta take out, whenever I can get off your phone. What are you doing?
Well, I was moving it because the screen lit up and I didn't want it to be distracting.
Anyways, get your phone back because we've got more of that.
Oh.
There's like more questions. Jeez. So,
yeah, but
however I got onto that, I don't know. Probably because I'm
of
selfish.
The pregnancy test.
Damn, dude. Oh, yeah. No, I think...
You weren't panicked at first?
No.
I mean, we both talked about how we were scared.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we just didn't want to mess up. I mean, me especially.
I think more than anything, I would have been nervous because, like, of my own personal... Like, my, like, addiction, just all that.
Right.
I don't think I would have had the tools to have, formulated that into any kind of specific, like, thought or, like, verbal cue to you. But I'm sure that there was a part of me that was like, you could really fuck this up. This could go downhill pretty quick. But, hey, it worked out. Here we are.
And for more on that story, go back to episode 4 when we talked about your little experience last year.
Yeah.
Okay, so her second one was, what's something that you in quotations you should know how to do but don't, silly or serious? And
that I should know how to do or don't, or just in general, someone should know how to do but probably doesn't.
No, you personally.
Oh, me
And the first thing that pops into my head is how to drive a stick shift, because I tried to learn once. So one of my good friends from high school tried to teach me in their Mustang.
Now it just doesn't matter. You're never going to have to drive a stick shift ever.
I know. Okay, so maybe would writing in cursive be the same category? Like, you don't even have to.
Yeah.
I mean, my signature
Can you change a tire?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Damn. That would have been my first for like general. It was like general things to other people.
Yeah.
What is something that I should know how to do?
Yeah. But in quotations, so like
use Instagram properly.
Other people, so that other people would be like, "Oh man, you don't know how to do that?" Like, I guess that's what she meant. So I guess mine are irrelevant if they're like old school type, like drive a stick shift.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool to know how to drive a stick shift. It feels good. Driving a stick shift is by far. I mean, you really just get to feel the car and what it's doing in such a better way.
Right.
But it's also it's a lot easier. It's probably a lot more taxing on the car.
I just feel like it's like you have to. Well, obviously, pay more attention because you have to use both your feet,
and you really don't have the opportunity to like be on your phone. and shit like
which
that
you
when you're driving a
shouldn't
stick
either,
shift.
and we don't condone that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But yeah, you have to like
Yeah,
keep an
because
eye on the
you're
RPMs and like
hand on, and ideally your hand is always on the
yeah.
stick shift.
Was your little red car stick shift?
No, but
When did you drive stick?
my car prior to that, and then when I was doing
What was it? Do you remember?
yeah, Dodge Stratus
Mm-hmm.
RT, no big deal.
Oh, RT.
Yeah, that was stick shift, and my work truck prior to that. That's what I learned stick shift on.
Really?
Stick shift, yeah.
I learned how to drive in a
And
truck.
then and then
But
I'd
not
driven. I'd driven a handful of other stick shift cars. It's cool. It's good to know, but it's also. It's now more cool to know than it is needed to know.
Right.
Because you're probably never going to drive a stick shift.
Yeah. But I can't really think of anything that is like a common, like, oh, everybody knows how to do that. That I just don't.
Yeah, I mean, I would need it to happen.
Right.
Like,
And then
I
you
would need
realize,
to happen and be like, oh,
yeah,
I can't do that.
Can you ride a bike?
Not well.
Really?
Not well at all, no.
How so? You like fall over?
Well, I was super late learning. I was probably 12,
Yeah.
13 when I learned. And then once I learned, it was all right until I went over a speed bump and went over the handlebars. And I was like, fuck this. Done. Yeah.
Oh, no.
And I was, I was just like, nope, not happening ever again.
Oh, my gosh.
Rollerblades for life.
Rollerblades. Yeah, we had some of those too.
Rollerblades, not skates.
No, I know.
Yeah.
The one line, like.
Yeah, inline. Played hockey.
Oh, yeah.
I guess I could be better at computer stuff.
What do you mean? Not social media, but what's another
Microsoft, like Excel, like those
Oh,
kind of
what about
things.
typing? Can you typing like legit?
Yeah.
How you're supposed to?
Yeah, I'm decent at that.
And your fingers are in the right places?
Yeah, I went through keyboarding. Yeah, I did keyboarding
Me too.
when I was
That's
in
one
high
of
school.
the classes that I am so thankful for, like, every day, honestly.
Really?
Yes, because when I used to type before I took that class, my shit would be like one or two fingers.
I don't even remember how I used to type.
No, I don't either, but I know it wasn't all my fingers.
But yeah, no, I know where my hands are supposed to be. You know, QWERTY keyboard? There's like another type of keyboard that's meant to type faster.
Yeah, so that was our first submission.
Yeah, unfortunately, no good answer to that second question. I just don't like.
Yeah, I don't know. Shoot a gun? I mean, I wouldn't even know how to like probably even handle a gun.
Shoot a gun
safely.
I think I could just pick it up and shoot it.
Really?
Yeah. I feel like I'm decent enough at looking at things mechanically. I'm not saying that I'm going to go out there and be like fucking Navy SEAL, but I'm pretty sure I could figure it out and then just. I think the shooting part it wouldn't be very difficult. I'm aware that you need to like brace for it and don't hold it all fucking loose so that it hits you in the face.
Loosey goosey.
You, like, if you're shooting a rifle, like put your weight into it. All those things.
Yeah.
And the mechanics, like I've messed around in the past with like guns that were like obviously like unloaded and stuff.
Right.
Like I'm very minorly familiar with like the working pieces.
I've never even held one. The only thing that I've used was
sword fight would be pretty cool.
Sword fight.
Yeah.
Of
like when
all things,
well,
why would you?
Because we've talked about like if you were walking down the boardwalk, or like if gun is great. Don't get me wrong. Like one-on-one, gun is going to be pretty fucking legit.
Yeah.
But if you're like about to get mobbed by 5-6 people, knowing how to like, it doesn't even have to be a sword.
I was gonna say a sword.
Doesn't even have to be
like
a sword, but a sword,
dagger.
A knife. Dude, I'm telling you, I want to buy this thing. They have this. It's like a little metal case about this big.
Yeah.
And it has like a clip on it that the thing is like spring loaded. So when you hit the clip, it basically both ends shoot out, and you get like a 5-foot long.
Oh my god.
Like bow staff, basically. it's a quarterstaff, I guess, if it's 5 feet long.
Yeah.
D&D. But if you have a gun in a scenario where like you're gonna get mobbed, you might shoot somebody. You might get lucky. They also might take that gun from you, and then you're probably gonna die. But if you're like at all proficient, this might just be my stupid brain, with like a close quarters weapon, like there's a good chance you're gonna fuck some people up.
Yeah. Oh, close quarters. You're reminding me of there's this episode of Criminal Minds. It's one of the early episodes where they have
CQC, close quarters combat.
They have this case where they need to bring in this and don't come at me because it's what it was, this Native American sheriff guy. And he's like schooling Hotchner on like he just says a distance. I forget what he said, how many feet he said. He just says the distance and then reads like what he's talking about. And Hotchner's like, that's a distance where if you're inside of it, it's better to have a knife than a gun. Like something like that.
There is, I don't know if that's real or not, but I've definitely heard that in other shows as well. Where there's like I think it's like if you're within 10 feet.
You have other options, I think he said.
Well, it's like, I guess it's, and it's something that's never thought about. Like I think about it when people talk about like, could you beat up this animal? But there is like a distance. Like if you had your gun on your hip, and it's like if you're within 10 feet of somebody, and they lunge, like they're going to be able to cover the distance in the time it's going to get.
Yeah.
Like you're almost going to be like simultaneous. And if there's just a lot of things. And people think, and again, I know I just said, pretty sure I could shoot a gun. People think that like shooting a gun from like here to here is like really easy. And it's like, there's just a lot of things that could quickly go wrong.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
And you just like haven't hit. And like in the moment, like the fucking bullet's so fast that like the first shot, if the person's close enough, they might not even know they've been shot.
Right.
And they just go forward, like keep going.
Oh, that's true.
And it's pretty tough to get a kill. Like it's tough
to get a kill.
I mean, like
you're playing a game.
To get a kill shot, it's not easy.
Yeah.
Because your head is a very small target compared to everything else.
Right.
And there's really not other, like, I mean, I guess there are, whatever. Oh.
Yeah, but I don't know, like all my a lot of my relatives like getting in on this, like these gun classes and stuff.
Oh.
With the way the world's going, maybe that's something we should know.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I have said that to other people that I have to, like, now that I have a kid, I have to have faith that like enough people can get on board to like right the ship.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's what you hope for sure.
It's just something you have, like.
But at the same time, like, yeah, it's something that I hope for as well. But at the same time, I'm like quick to remember when we were on our little trip and I said, like, at the end of the day, I'm just so like spent because when we're out and about with Colt, I'm always on high alert.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm quick to be like non-trusting of people.
Yeah.
At the same time, you know, it's weird because you hope that everyone's has some good in them and like, but at the same time, like that's my kid. I'm not taking chances.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's mad times.
Well, I think I hope that every time that people have lived in, I feel like there's always something. There's always something to look at and be like, man, things are crazy.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know, things could be worse.
That's true.
Just gotta.
And I'm sure a lot of it has to do with the way the media just puts stuff out there. It makes it seem a lot worse.
Yeah. I'm still trying to figure out how. I haven't heard, or if I've heard the explanation, it hasn't clicked in my head well enough yet.
Excuse me.
But I'm really trying to figure out why such a small portion of crazy people are allowed to have such a, like, I really
Yeah.
do in some ways think, and I talked to James about this a long time ago.
Yeah.
Not a long time ago, but long enough ago. Where it's just like, I think too many people are willing to just like, I think not willing, but too many people are just going about their day and are trying to just be like, dude, leave me alone.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just trying to do what I need to do.
Right.
And in some ways, I think it's respectable. But I think you like rapidly approach a point where it's like, okay, while I understand and appreciate that you just want to be left alone, like, things will go sideways if you just want to be left alone. Like, you have
What do you
to,
mean?
at some point, the people that just want to be left alone have to be like, look, I don't want you teaching my kids about like
Oh,
sex
right. They
and
have to speak up.
6-year-old. Like,
Yeah, I see what you mean.
I don't like, it isn't a radical idea to think that the government might not have completely told the truth about COVID vaccines. Like,
Right.
everything right now is so levied in a way that it's like, it's easy to just be like, I want to stay quiet. I want to be left alone because
Yeah.
otherwise you're going to get shouted at by psychos.
Right.
And so it's like, it almost doubles down on like like, you might naturally be inclined to be like, I just want to be left alone. And then you get doubled down on by being like, well, if I were to say something, I'm going to get screamed at. Therefore, I am just going to try to be left alone.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I get it. But I don't think that's the best option. And I think like you have to speak up in ways. Otherwise, like, yeah, you're just going to be left with like fatties on Sports Illustrated and like,
Okay. I
what?
gotta see what you mean now.
Like,
Because you were, at first you were describing like being left alone, and in my head I'm like, yeah, that's fucking me. Like, I don't want to
yeah,
talk to people, and
yeah.
like, I want to raise my kid.
And
Just stay away from me.
yeah, and it's a perfectly acceptable idea until the world is.
But you mentioned Sports Illustrated, and that's not something I give a shit about. So why should I speak up about stuff like that? Like,
because
do what you guys want.
yeah, but so it's like the small steps that this is how it happens. Is enough people collectively, like, enough people on the majority collectively decide like, look, this isn't my fucking deal. Like, I don't care. I don't care about
Right.
Sports Illustrated, or
Right.
I don't care about trans, or I don't care about whatever the next abortion. I don't care about what the next hot topic is.
Yeah.
I just want to be left alone. And it's an okay mindset. Like, I understand the mindset.
Yeah.
But when enough people continually want to be left alone and don't say anything, is how you end up with a very small minority of people with the loudest voices getting the most change to occur.
Okay, but do you think that if everyone who really didn't give a shit spoke up anyway, that would be giving more attention to what we shouldn't be giving attention to?
No.
It would just be fueling their fire and giving them more
No.
power?
Because they would just be drowned out. Like, so quick little example is like, and it's just distribution. Like, the way that the system is set up is, if there's enough interest in whatever it might be, that interest is going to get like kind of pushed up to the forefront.
Mm-hmm.
And one way that you can get your issue interested in is make it something that a lot of people don't want. Like, again, abortion is an uncomfortable thing for people to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And most people will choose to just be like, look, dude, I don't know and I don't care.
Right.
Like,
right.
and so when enough people go, I don't know, I don't care, but one side is like, oh, well, we fucking care and we want it, then it's like, okay, well, this
Yeah.
is the interest. The interest is we want it, and we'll shift in that direction.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's the only thing that I can think of is how we have this weird generation that we live in right now, where it's like, some of these ideas that are being like floated around are so, I mean, they're crazy. They're crazy ideas that, like, I there's no explanation that I could ever hear that would make me be like, okay, 7-year-olds should be able to choose if they want to be boys or girls.
Right. Same.
And then we should surgically intervene.
Yeah.
There is no argument that anyone could give that would make that an okay thing.
Right.
Like, and there are no good arguments. It's always coming from like well, that's their reality. And you're like, that's not a thing. Like, their reality believes in Santa Claus. Like, that's not.
Yeah.
It isn't a type of person you should be trusting to make these decisions.
Right.
It's crazy. And I think more people should.
I have a hard time understanding that.
What?
Like, I don't know. I'm that person. Like, I don't want to pretend to care about that stupid shit.
Well, no one's saying that you're pretending.
But it would be if I'm trying to speak out about it and I really don't want to be speaking about it. Like, that's pretending to care.
Well, maybe.
But maybe it's also naive and I'm just hoping it'll disappear.
Yeah, you'll begin to care the first time that he comes home and is like, hey, Zem at school said that I might be a girl and I want to...
Well, I mean, we talked about homeschooling, so hoping to avoid that.
Relax. Or like even with your friend's situation.
Yeah.
Guarantee you that is almost strictly from this like mob scene that has almost made it... It's more cool than anything. It's like... It's a subsect of being cool.
Oh, right. It's trendy.
Like, yeah.
Right.
But it's also, it's on its face, on the face of it all, it might seem like it's harmless. But it could, like, for someone in that age range, it could be psychologically something very difficult to deal with.
Yeah,
if
harmful.
It was, like, untouched or if it was just allowed to continue. I mean, who knows the confusion that it would cause years down the road if it was just like, oh, well, we just went with it, so...
Right,
whatever.
exactly.
Like, we let this child decide, like, this is how things are going to be. It's like, no, it's not acceptable.
Yeah.
And it only becomes acceptable because there are people right now not being told enough that, like, no, y'all are fucking nuts. Like, just because I might want to be left alone, like, if it's not hurting me, cool, have at it. But it's like, I don't know, the older that I'm getting, the more that answer for me isn't sufficient. To just be like, hey, if it doesn't hurt me, whatever. Because it's like, well, where is the step that's like one step too far? Like that's, you know, the other example is like, this process is how you land in like,
Sorry,
Nazi,
guys. Chief is drinking his water.
Like Nazi Germany.
Yeah, I know you've said that before.
You know, I mean, I'm sure you've heard the line of like evil. It's like evil takes place when good men fail to act, or something like that. Like, like when enough people just kind of turn their head the other way because they don't want to be bothered by it. It's next thing you know, like things could be really bad. And who knows what really bad would look like in this landscape. Like, in 1939, it was pretty easy to know what bad looked like because they didn't have many avenues for it. You know, bad wasn't going to just be on a book because, a book is going to reach 100,000 people? No biggie. Not a big deal. But when you can easily reach millions and millions of people...
Come on.
You know, I don't know.
Clumsy.
I'm getting old and grumpy now. I think is what's happening. Remember at the beginning of this when I said, I think I've
You guys
considered
notice
myself...
how mommy gets all the kisses?
Yeah,
and
I get my fucking
he
ass.
Gets the butthole end.
But, yeah, I don't know. This is going to have to get edited down. I definitely just ranted.
No, that's okay. And we should probably wrap it up anyway.
Damn, we didn't even talk about Gettysburg. Just going to talk about ghosts and stuff.
No, but it was on my list.
Yeah, I know.
We can do it next time. But yeah, I guess a part of me just views it also as
and it's like I said, no judgment. Like, I totally understand.
Like, you know how when, like, a serious crime is committed, like, I hate to use this as an example, but, like, school shootings, and then they put the they put the name and maybe even the picture of the
guy.
suspects.
Yeah.
You're giving him what he wants. He wants
Yeah.
that attention. He wants to be not glorified, but he just.
I think in
I
a
feel like it's the same
singular
way.
in the singular aspect of it, I understand not doing that. Like, because it's literally one person. But when it's situations like I said, this whole trans movement thing has really got me feeling a certain way about like
Yeah.
Yeah, not even in like a I'm not trying to be mean, but it's
Right.
it's just like what how are we laying this
You
at the
could just
feet?
end at what, honestly?
How are we landing this at the feet of children? I don't understand.
Yeah.
And how anyone could like go along with it. How there are adults out there that go along with the idea that children could make this call for themselves.
Right.
It's crazy.
I agree.
It's crazy. Not about it. And I'm sure that I'm sure I'm labeled something because I'm not about it.
Yeah, well, we're not for everybody.
Yeah. I mean, if you're over 18, if you're an adult and you want to be trans, more power to you. I truly hope that is where you'll like find your happiness.
Yeah.
But if anyone were to knock on my door and be like, "Hey, your son said XYZ, we think he needs to be a girl." I'd be like, "Dude, you better fucking like you better come fucking correct." Like, the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah. I agree.
Okay. Well, that was the look.
All right, episode 5.
Yeah, dude. I hope that was okay. I hope that was all right.
I feel like you say that at the end of every one.
I know. I'm so self-conscious about myself.
We're self-conscious, guys.
Self-conscious, guys.
It's a journey. So yeah, if you don't already, follow us Instagram, Facebook, Twitter at samepagethepod.
Like, share, subscribe.
But yeah, any more topics? I mean, we would love to like just get some different outside, perspective.
Questions. I want to hear questions.
So
more questions.
Hit us up on our Gmail too if you want.
Think we're gonna have to start
samepagethepod@gmail.com.
maybe having like 2 or 3 like topics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like otherwise I'm just gonna take us off the rails every single time.
But I like going off road with you.
Yeah. Off road. We're 4-wheel drive over here.
All-wheel drive like my new car.
Oh yeah. Power to the family.
Yeah.
Fuck
all right,
that noise.
guys. Thanks for listening.
Yeah. Thanks.
See you next week.
Bye.